Hi, welcome back to this Flash tutorial series. This lesson will cover symbols, keyframes, layers, and tweening. As you can see, I've created this character in Flash and it is a shape. So in Flash, whenever you want to animate anything, it has to be a symbol. So to make this into a symbol, we go to Modify, Convert to Symbol. Shortcut key is F8. This window will pop out and we will name our character Orange Guy. The type of symbol can be chosen here. We have movie clip, button, and graphic, but we don't use movie clip and button. That's mostly for interactive applications, but sometimes we do use movie clip, but not in this case. I'll explain later why. For now, we use graphic. Click OK, and you can see that in the properties panel, our character has become a symbol. You can also change your type of symbol here, but I don't recommend that because sometimes it creates some errors. And so to create the animation, we need frames. So we go ahead to this layer here, we click on here and right click, insert frame. Shortcut key is F5. So once we created frames, we need keyframes as well. Click on here, right click, and insert keyframe. Shortcut key is F6. So once we created that keyframe, we need to move our character from its original position. And when you hit on enter, you'll see that the character jumps from one frame to the other. If we want to do it a traditional way, like frame by frame animation, we can do it by creating more keyframes in between these two keyframes and slowly moving our character towards its destination. Yeah, we will create something like this. So it works, but it kind of felt like there were some frame that was skipped, that was not sufficient. So that's why Flash has this very good function where you can do a tweening. So let's go ahead and create a classic tween. And you see that this classic tween automatically creates in between frames between these two keyframes. So right now, let's say I felt like this animation wasn't enough. I need to animate the hands as well. But the problem is, when I created this symbol, the character is created as a whole. It is not divided into different parts. When you want to animate a character that has a lot of movement, you need to divide it into parts like limbs, like a puppet. So before we create our character, we need to plan properly what kind of character we are preparing and what kind of joints it should have. We can take a look at this character I've created in Illustrator. So this gummy bear has legs and hands, which I have divided. I've taken it out from the body. So when I import this into Flash, whatever layers that I've created, parts that I've divided, will be bring forward to Flash. So I will go ahead and press Ctrl C to copy and go to Flash and Ctrl V to paste. So once it's imported, it will ask for the preference. We just leave that as it is, press OK, and you can see that a new layer has been created for this gummy bear character. We'll go ahead and close this layer. And just like I said, it is divided into parts and grouped in Flash. So now what we need to do is convert all of these parts into symbols. We select this together because I want the eyebrows and the mouth and the body to be in one object. Call this gummy bear body. This is gummy L hand, left hand, right hand, left leg, and right leg. So after we created the symbol, we have to take note that this pivot point of our symbols are correctly assigned. Else, it will normally just set at the middle, which is not what we want for our character. So we just have to use the free transform tool here and move this middle circle to this place that we want. So the hands and legs looks like it's attached to the body. And also for the body. Right, so you can see that even though I placed my pivot point correctly, my whole character is still not connected together. So to connect them together, we have to convert them again into a symbol. Call it gummy bear. Just call it gummy bear. So when you combine all the symbols together, you'll find out that you cannot control the individual parts anymore. To do that, you need to double click on your symbol, and you will find that you are in the symbol, no longer in the scene, but in the symbol, and you can control the individual parts of your character. And you realize also that the layers are different. Reasons because these are the layers in the scene and these are the layers in the symbol. If let's say I want to animate my character here, I need to divide all my parts that I want to animate into its own respective layer. Else if I would just tween it together in one layer, it would just be as a whole again. So the easiest way to distribute all these different parts into the layers is to select all of them, right click and choose distribute to layers. And you can see that it has all distributed it respectively with the naming of the symbol. And you realize that your initial layer is now empty, and we can just go ahead and delete that. So right now we do the same. We create more frames. We create a keyframe here, and make sure that whenever you want to create a keyframe, you have already set your pivot point correctly. Else you have to remove all your keyframes and redo everything. Now we create a classic tween, and we move this slightly a bit here, a bit there, so there's a bit of movement, and like that. All right, so when you press enter, you see that it moves. We go out to our scene, and we can see that it's animating. If we add our frames, you will realize that the animation keeps playing and playing, and it doesn't stop. Reason is because when you click on the symbol, you realize that looping in the properties of this symbol, looping is turned to loop. You can change it to play once, so it only plays until frame 20 and it stops there. So it only plays once and it ends at the last frame and just pauses. You can also choose single frame where it just stays as a still, and you can determine which frame you want. Let's say I want 10, so it will go to the number 10th frame in the symbol. So this is a 10th frame. If I go out, you can see that it looks the same. And this first frame also applies to loop. So if I start off the first frame as the 10th frame, the first frame in this keyframe would be the 10th frame in this symbol. You will see that it is the same. So sometimes you might want to change it, but for now we just put it as the first frame. So we realize that we have animation within the symbol, and we want to animate our character to move around. So we go ahead and create a keyframe, create a classic tween, and move our character. So you see that our character moves while the animation within the symbol is playing. So this is how you create two different groups of animation together by creating animations within a symbol and outside of the symbol. You also realize that this animation, this transition between this keyframe to this keyframe is very linear. So what you can do is that you can change the tweening here when you select on this layer with this tweening. You see there's an arrow here. If you click on this layer, you can change the properties of the tween. So we can increase the easing value and it becomes an easing out. What it does is that it makes it into a fast in, slow out, or you can change it to an ease in, which is a slow in and fast out. You can see that it slowly goes and speed ups. You can also add a rotation, but I mostly don't do that. I only apply those on wheels or anything that's rotating. So now we will try out the motion tween. So the motion tween is like an advanced version of the classic tween. So what I did is I just enabled motion tween, and the whole layer will become a motion tween layer. You can see that this icon is different. To move my character, what I only have to do is I go to, let's say, the 10th frame, I move it around, and you can see that my animation has been created, and there's this line to show the path. One thing that you can do in motion tween that you can't in classic tween is that you can change the curve. You can add a curve to this motion and it will follow the curve. You can see that. But make sure that the tool that you're using is the selection tool, not the free transform tool. You can remove the keyframe by holding on Control and clicking on the keyframe. Right click and clear the keyframe. You can also split the motion. So what this does is that you can see that the motion path here is like this, but once I split it, I can make a new motion path here that is different from this. You can also do a convert to frame by frame animation. You can also reverse the keyframes and do a reverse animation. It works the same for classic tween as well. Wait. Okay, reverse the frames. You see that this keyframe and this keyframe has been swapped. There's one more tween called the shape tween. And this tweening does not require you to convert it into a symbol. Just like the classic tween, we create a shape tween by having two keyframes, and we edit this to another shape, and you'll see the transformation there. The shape tween is less predictable when you are using like, let's say, a square. We can also try this with a more complex shape. So let's go to our library and bring in our gummy bear. We break it down by right-clicking and we choose break apart. And we can achieve this by pressing the shortcut key Ctrl+B. And we break it down until it is only shapes that are left there. So this is a complex shape combination. There's a circle here, an oval here. So if we tween this, we shape tween this, change this to something like this, you'll see that the animation will give you a very unpredictable result. But it doesn't mean that you cannot use shape tween for this type of situation. What you can do is that you can separate all these individual shapes into different layers, and then you do the shape tween, so it doesn't go like this. Now, I want to show you why we have to use graphic instead of movie clip at this point. Alright, so right now, both are graphics. And if I change this to movie clip, you realize that one of it is not moving. But in fact, if you click into the symbol, it is still animating. The problem here is that when you use movie clip, it does not preview whatever animation you have in the symbol. I'll delete this and I'll export, and you can see that after you export, the animation is still playing, but it won't be previewing in your stage. So the benefits of a movie clip symbol when used in animation is that there are more properties you can change compared to a graphic. You can see that there's only 3 here, but there are more than just 3. There are 5 properties you can change, which I will explain in a further video. So that's all for this lesson. Thank you very much.